Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm hoping that this gives you the information you need about the options process, at John Lehman, and this answers many of your questions. If you have a burning question from anything that I say today, you can type it in the chat. Behind the screen, Mr. Miles is there. He's taking a note of the questions, and then he will do some frequently asked questions at the end. Can I ask that those questions are kind of the general questions? If it's related specifically to your child, can you not put their name on the Facebook? Can you do that separately as an email, and then we will get back to you. If you email me directly, I will get back to you if you have any of those specific questions. Thank you. Right. The first thing that I want to say is that I know lots of you are going to have burning questions about the opening of schools. We as a leadership team have been working on this today. We were working on it yesterday, and very, very soon all of that information will be out about when we're open. We will give you that as soon as we have got the details. So again, please in the chat don't ask that. This is solely about the options process. Thank you. Right. Okay, so my biggest message has been to the kids is about knowing and owning the process. It's about them and their decisions, and I sent them an email this morning saying, this is the first step in the big wide world really. You've got to make those decisions about the things that you study which could impact on your future. So knowledge is power. So this morning I sent them all an email which had in it a link which takes them all to all the subject videos. I also resent out the options booklet which had all the information as well. I signposted them to useful points of guidance, so things like their form tutor, things like where they can find those subject leads if they want to ask questions. And what this is about in the next few weeks is about getting that knowledge, really making sure they know what they are opting for. Because it's really vital that before they fill out the form, which I shall talk about a little bit later on, that is correct. Because once we've got all those in, the nature of how schools work and how schools' timetables work and restrictions in terms of room sizes, class sizes, means once they're in the system, it's really, really hard for us to change their options. Virtually impossible. So it's about making sure what goes on that form is absolutely right. Okay. So, they've already had, as I say, loads of information sent to them this morning. You will be able to see all the videos as well. If you go onto the Sir John Lehman website page, if you go under events and look at options, you can see all the subject leaders presenting about their subjects. There's also lots of other information that we've given them in the past, things like parenting. I hope that's been useful in terms of signposting about options. And all of this is for the key date of March the 8th, which is when we're asking the form to be submitted. Okay? So on March the 8th, we want that form submitted. Mr. Miles, after this event, will email that form out to all the students. It's not a rush. It's not first come, first serve. So by pinging, being the first one in guarantees your email, it guarantees your options. It doesn't work like that. Please make sure, as I say, you give all of the subjects time consideration, so what goes on that form is correct. And it doesn't matter if it comes tonight or if it comes on March the 8th, all of them will be treated equally. So please assure them that they are to take the time to do this. So, I think the thing that I've also said in terms of gathering information is over the last few years there's been lots of curriculum change. So I've just warned the kids who are in today not to kind of ask advice from kind of older brothers and sisters and look at the courses that they did, because they may be different. So I'm kind of signposting them against fake news, if you like. So if they've had a brother who's done technology 6 years ago in the school, it will be very different to what they're studying. So just make sure they check all the information and know what they are opting for. That really is the key message. So what we aim to do here is give the students a broad and balanced curriculum. I think we're really, really lucky in that we offer quite a few. We offer quite a few subjects. And quite often we get students transferring in Year 9 because they know we have those subjects here to offer. And some of our local schools, we certainly have students who do more options. But our we certainly do more options than some of our other local schools. But our key message is getting a broad and balanced curriculum which is going to set them up when they leave here to be able to go on, do their next thing and hopefully live their dreams. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk about the core curriculum first of all. So all of them will carry on studying English, English literature, maths and science. I'll talk about the different science options in a minute, but they will have to do science in one form, either combined or triple, and I'll talk you through those differences. We also ask our students to do religious studies as well. It's part of, the government expects us to teach it, so they would be doing it if they weren't doing a GCSE in it. Our kind of attitude is, well, if you're going to have to do it, why not get accredited for it as well? And we think that's, again, it's another GCSE they can have in their armoury, and it gives them more options then when they go on to leave us at post-16 and then post-18 as well. So in terms of science, they've already started their GCSE courses. So the two sciences that we offer is combined science and triple science. They're very, very similar in terms of the courses. There's a lot of crossover of content. But the main difference is in triple, there's a lot more. In triple, they will get 3 GCSEs. Okay? So they will get a GCSE for biology, a GCSE for chemistry, and a GCSE for physics. In combined, they still study biology, chemistry, and physics, but they get 2 GCSEs. Okay? They get 2 GCSEs for that. Triple is in a lot more depth. The content is more. So, just for example, in terms of the exams for triple, they're an hour and 45-minute papers, whereas for combined science, they're an hour and 10 minutes. So there's a lot more that's assessed. Now, because of that, they obviously need to be taught a lot more. So for that reason, triple forms part of the options process. So if the student wants to do triple science, what we ask is that they opt for it in the second box down, and that will take out, if you like, one of their other 3 choices. That becomes one of their options because they need that curriculum time to explore the course, to learn the course. Okay? So it's really, really important. Now, it would also be important to talk to your teachers, I've told the students this again, about your suitability. Are you interested in triple? What you want to go on to do? Because certainly, triple acts as a bridge to A-level. So if you know that you want to go and be a marine biologist, you're desperate to study biology at A-level, you want that route, then actually triple will probably be the best option for you if you want to take those further. That is not to say that if you do combined science you cannot do A-levels here, but certainly the content in triple is more suitable as bridging work to that. And there'll be certain careers that we know that actually if you study triple science, it's going to step you up in better stead. If you want to go and be a doctor, triple science is probably the route for you, rather than having the combined. So as I say, look at the information in the booklet, and kind of have those discussions and make that decision. You would have heard a lot, although this is kind of dying in the press, about the English baccalaureate. This came in a few years ago by the Conservative government, and they were saying we need to drive up standards. And how are we going to drive up standards? Well, we want students to all leave with a language, we want them all to have humanities. We kind of feel that's quite restrictive for some of our students. So we don't, unlike some of our competitors in the area, put them down that route. We don't say they all have to do a science, they all have to do humanities. However, we'd be doing them a disservice if we didn't recognise that. We didn't recognise that that's the trend. And so that's why we ask students to choose one of those subjects. So on the options form, you will see there is a constrained box. And in that top box, they have to pick history, geography, French, Spanish or Latin. That has to go down as an option. Okay? Now, we will guarantee that choice. So that choice is guaranteed. That doesn't stop them picking all the other subjects in the box below, but it just means for that constrained option, for that constrained choice, we can guarantee that because there will be so many groups running. So that's why we can do that. So on the form in box 1, we ask the students to pick one of those subjects. That then leaves the other choices. Now, students will study students will study a further 3 subjects after their constrained choice. However, we've got to ask them to pick 4. Now, as I said, the reason for this is the sheer logistics of timetabling it, class sizes. Some classes will be restricted, so for example, food, we've only got 24 cookers, therefore we can only have 24 students doing that course, or computer science, there are only so many computers. So some subjects will have those natural caps. So we need some flexibility. And I've said to the students today, the students that are in, that certainly that 4th choice really needs to be considered. You know, don't just think because I put on choice 4, I won't get it. Mr. Miles is an amazing timetabler, he's a genius at all of this stuff. He will do his absolute best to make sure the students get choices 1, 2 or 3, but it's not always possible, and sometimes we have to go to choice 4. Certainly in terms of then the changing, if a student comes to me in the summer and says, look, I really don't want, I've got these subjects, I really want to swap this one for this one, and it happens that they've got their choice 4 and they want to swap it for their choice 3, well, they won't be able to. There will be a reason why we haven't been able to accommodate them. So it's really, really essential that choice 4 is considered. So you think about, you know, I'm going to do this for 2 years, I really want to do it. And I think to help that, we offer a huge array of subjects. So I'm going to start to talk through those now. So the first thing is the languages. Now, as I said, just because you've selected a language in your top box doesn't mean that you can't do in your box below, do the rest. So you may have picked Spanish, but yes, you can study French and Latin. If that's yours, you can do all of them. Okay, it doesn't preclude you from doing that. And those, as I say, and those are the languages we have on offer. Just to note that if you want to carry a language onto A level, you have to do it at GCSE. Okay, then we have the humanities. So we have history and geography. And again, with those, if you are studying history in the top box, it doesn't stop you from picking geography in the bottom box. I'll go back when I said about Latin. Just remember with the Latin, look back at the book. You can only do Latin if you have studied it beforehand. That's the big thing with Latin. It would be harder than a brick wall to start studying it without having done that foundation at Key Stage 3. So those are the humanities we offer. Now, in the humanities, you'll also see that we're offering psychology as well. Now, this is one of the new subjects. Now, a lot of students see this and think, oh, this sounds great, because on the team psychology, I get to analyse people, I get to do experiments, I get to talk about what your dreams mean, all of that sort of thing. It's a subject which can often be quite misunderstood. So it's really important that actually they read the information. If they've got any questions, they can email Miss Barnes directly about the course and find out what's involved, rather than picking it just because it's one of those brand new subjects and they think, well, that sounds terribly exciting. Really, as I say, I go back to my first message, knowledge is power. Know what's in each subject. And then we have the arts, which has a huge amount of subjects in them. So they can pick art and design, they can pick photography, they can pick music, drama, PE and media. And there's another one of those new subjects with media. Again, know what it's about, what's involved. And the thing that I would say in terms of considering these subjects is a lot of these subjects have a lot of extra commitments. They have a lot of extra work that they have to do. So for example, drama has things like rehearsals after school. They have to rehearse a piece. There's a huge kind of practical component. And just think, when you're going through your options, do I want to pick subjects which have all got these big practical components? What's my workload going to be like? Yes, if I do art, I might not have a written exam at the end of it, but actually the workload for art is huge. The amount of hours you have to spend producing the work, making your portfolio, is huge. So actually, can you do that alongside perhaps a technology project and perhaps the drama rehearsals as well, and music where you have to perform? Think about that balance. Think about your workload and actually fitting that all round as well. Then we go over to business, computing and health and social care. Lots of new subjects again in here. So we offer computing. Now computing, we say to students that you need to be in the top 3 sets of maths to do computing. The reason for that is that the content is incredibly hard and we don't want to set them up to fail. So we don't want students who are in the lower sets of maths doing computing because they will struggle, and that's the last thing we want is students starting a course where they find it completely hard and they're struggling from day one. There's a big difference between creative eye media, computing and media. I've said to the students, they need to find out that difference. They need to look at what is the difference between computing and iMedia and what's the difference between iMedia and computing, and kind of understand that and see that it appeals to their skill set before choosing it. All of that details are in the video, as I said. Then we have health and social care and business studies. Two of the new subjects. And again, as I say with business studies, find out, Mr. Trenchard will be on his emails, how much financial accounting is there, what's the content. Don't just pick it because you think you're going to be the next Alan Sugar. You know, delve deeper into the subject. Then we also have design and technology. Now again, this comes with some other parameters as well. So we offer 2 technology-based GCSEs. So we have food and nutrition, which is one which you can pick as a GCSE, and then we have the GCSE in design and technology. Now with this, we then ask students to select the material that they want to study. So do they work in graphics, do they work in textiles, or do they work with materials? Okay, they have to pick that option. They cannot pick design technology and pick it twice and pick 2 different mediums to work in. The reason for that is the exam is essentially the same. Okay, the students will sit the same exam, where the difference is it's the medium they work in over the 2 years. So any practical work for textiles will be working obviously in cloth and material, whereas with materials it will be things like wood, metal, etc. It'll be design based in that sense of the word. So they can only pick one of those. They can pick food and design technology together. They sit as 2 separate GCSEs. So that's completely permitted. That's allowed. All of the subjects are taught for 300 minutes. So when they pick their subject, they're going to be doing them for a long time. So whereas now in year 9 they might have drama for 100 minutes a fortnight, if they pick it for an option they will have it for 300 minutes over the fortnight. So all of the option subjects will have that amount of time. So it really is vital that actually it's what they want to do, because they're going to be devoting a serious amount of time to it. So that's, again, that really should be considered. And I go back to, with choice 4, that also needs to be considered, because there will be a considerable amount of time spent doing it. So every single one of those options are really important. And as I say, it's about looking at the breadth of the study and thinking, can I cope with that? If I pick all practical subjects, am I going to be best with doing that? If they're all exams based, do I need something a bit more practical to give me that kind of break during the day? Those are the kind of decisions that they need to make and they need to think about. Okay, so after this event, we will send out the form. The form is Dropbox where they can select their options. As I said, it's not first come, first serve. They won't get their options if they fill it in tonight and get it back. They really need to take the time doing this. We will collate those responses and then the work for us begins as a school. As I say, there's a huge amount of effort that then goes into timetabling, into staffing, into making sure we can fit those options around. And we will do our absolute best to make sure that they're on the courses they want to be on, because that's what we want from them. We want them to be happy. What's really important is that their email address they use is the school email address. We will disregard any forms which are from different email addresses, because we just can't be sure that another student isn't pretending to be them and giving them the options they don't want. On the form, all of the options are numbered in terms of preference. So you will see in the second box, it says first, second, third, fourth. That's the order which you should fill them in. The good news is that we will guarantee choice number 1. So if they're desperate to do PE next year, if that's their absolute drive, if that's their absolute want, they need to select that as number 1, and then we will give that to them with their constrained option. Okay? In terms of getting their options back, we won't be giving them back until just before the summer holidays. As I said, it's the logistics of staffing which means there's such delay. And when we go through the process of giving them back, there won't be any nasty surprises. So say, for example, there isn't a subject that runs because we've got a staffing issue, or there's not enough students to do it and we have to pull that course, then we will have that conversation with the students way before the options come out. There won't be any nasty surprises where they open an envelope and they see something that doesn't recognise their choices. Okay? We will have those conversations, and hopefully they'll feel reassured and be happy with their choices. It should be straightforward. What I say to the students all at this time is learn from previous years. We've done this for a number of years now, and we see students making the same mistake when it comes to options. They come with some assumptions. So, the first one is, it's okay. I can change it in the summer if I don't get what I like. As I've said, that's really hard. Once we've done the timetabling, once we've done the staffing, it's kind of set in stone. I will give the students a clinic day where they can come to me and say if they're unhappy, what options they want to change, etc. I will give them a day, and usually get about 30. But I say if it's because you've got option 4 and not option 3, or option 4 and not option 2, then it's probably not worth your while turning up. There's a reason why that's the case. But I will give them a day to kind of air their concerns. And then what I do with Mr. Miles is we look at where we can do swaps. So if Mr. Miles wants to swap from drama to, drama to music, and I, for example, took music but didn't want to do it but want to do drama, there might be a clear swap. There might be a crossover so we can move those students around. But just as a kind of guide, we had kind of around about sort of 40 students coming to see me last year, trying to look at swaps. And I think we were able to manage about 5 or 6 of them. It's very, very, very rare that we can change, which is why it's vital that the form is building as accurately as it can be. It's okay. I will try the subjects out at the beginning of Year 7 and change if I don't like them. By September, that's it. If they're on the course in September, they have to then take that course all the way through to Year 11. So, as I say, it's vital that they make the choice now. It's okay. I could drop a subject in Year 11 if I don't like it and focus on the important subjects. Now, as a drama teacher, when I hear that word, the important subjects, it always makes me think, well, my subject isn't important. But that doesn't happen. It's not like a college. We can't have students suddenly on free periods wandering around with cups of tea thinking, it's that sort of place. Once they've enrolled on a course, they will take it through to the end and they will sit an exam in that subject. So, as I say, that's why it's really important we get it right now. It's okay. I'm going to pick my options based on what my friends like and what teachers I like. As I said to them this morning, the friends change. Your friends will change. Your teachers may also change. The teachers that you pick a subject might not be here in September. They also might be here, but they might not be teaching you. So it's got to be based on the subject information. And even if you do pick with your friends, there's no guarantee that there's going to be in the same groups. So the students really need to be selfish about this. Completely selfish. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm interested in moving on to. And pick on that basis. And then they will pick the right options. It's okay. I'm just going to do what my parents and my teachers tell me to do. I've said use your parents. Talk to them. But actually, at the end of the day, the options are your choices. They're the things that you want to study. And actually, if you can go to your parents with an informed rationale of, well, I don't want to do this because I think the work element is too much, and that's going to clash with this, and they can come up with an informed justification, I think that's brilliant. It means they've got the information, they're informed. So it really is about them. And equally, it isn't about what teachers want. Teachers will be approaching saying, I really think you should, Mr. Miles, I'd love you to do drama. You're brilliant at it. Why wouldn't you want to do anything else but drama? He's not even smiling at me. Giving that flattery, and then that makes you feel great, but actually, do you want to do it, or is it just the feeling you got from that moment? Really think about these options. And as I say, it's okay. They won't give me choice 4. We will do our best to make sure they're on the course they want to be on, but actually sometimes we do have to use choice 4. So don't just write it down. And also, what I would say is don't try and play the system. Don't think, I'm going to try and guess what the popular subjects are. So, for example, I know I really want to do PE, but I know there's a lot of groups on this year, so the chances are I'll get that. So I might put that as number 2, and I might put something like food as number 1, because I've heard that's oversubscribed, but actually that's my second choice, really. But if you start playing the game, it never works out like that. The groups change every year. I think this year we have 4 photography groups running, the year before we had 2. You know, the group sizes change, they respond to the options. So don't play games with the form, just think, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to make this form a really accurate and honest reflection of what I want to do. So I suppose that kind of leads me to a conclusion. So my biggest message to them is that it's know what you're opting for and own the process. And that's what I want to see them. It's that first step, if you like, into the upper school. And that's why we call this the upper school, because they're making those big steps into kind of the adult world, really, where they're starting to choose things for themselves. So actually it's really, really vital that they own that process. And at this point, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Miles, who's going to answer some of your questions that you've been putting in on the chat.
Thank you, Mr. Slater. I haven't got very many questions to deal with, but there is just a couple of things that I can say. About numbering choices. Yes, you definitely number the choices in order of your preference. So number 1 is the one you definitely get in the open box. Number 2 you are likely to get. Number 3 and number 4, we really can't say which one of those you're going to get. Last year, quite a few choice 4s were used to replace choice 3, and a few choice 2s were replaced, because I have got the particular question, if triple science was option 2 in box 2, what are the chances they won't get it? And we're not going to be able to quantify that. We're not going to be able to say, oh, there's a 17% chance that will happen. I would think most likely they would get it, but we really don't know for sure. So if they absolutely definitely want triple science, that should be number 1. That's the decision you ought to be making. There was another question about will we be providing quizzes. We'll reply to that on the text later. I've just got a few other things that I just want to say again, because I think it's just worth saying again. Please, when you submit the form, which will go out later on, there'll be a link to the form going to all the children's school email addresses. They have to put in an email address when they reply to the form. It's the very first thing. It needs to be the school email address. We won't be accepting options from other email addresses other than the school email address for reasons Mr. Slater said earlier. Can you be careful not to pick the same subject twice? The form does allow you to tick the same subject twice, but obviously you can't do that. So all that would happen then is we'd have to contact you again and ask you to change. Latin is only available to those who already study it, that was said before. Please don't pick more than one design and technology course. So if you are picking design and technology, you need to choose between graphics, textiles and materials. And computer science is only available to those in math sets 1, 2 and 3. Triple science is only available to those in science sets 1, 2 and 3. And checking, oh yes, that's right. I was only going to say that we're only going to accept the first response from each email address. So if you put in 5 different forms from a particular email address, I'm going to take the first one unless I hear otherwise from you. So please don't press submit until you're pretty sure about what you're going to have, because we really don't want to keep replacing it with replacement choices. As Mr. Slater said, there's no great rush to get it in. The deadline for getting the form in isn't until 8th of March, so you've got 2 weeks to think about it. I would use that time to consider everything properly. Mr. Slater, do you want to wrap up from there?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, folks. Thanks for joining us this evening. As I say, this will be on the Facebook page, so you'll be able to access the video and watch it back. Mr. Richards is filming me as well, so that will be sent out, and that will also be under the events section and options section. So if you have friends who say, well, I didn't get to see it, where is it? I don't have Facebook. Parents have been emailed. It's all on there as well. I hope that was useful. I hope that gives you a little bit more of an insight. This is the first time we've tried anything like this. I hope you found that useful. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening.